We are here to talk about Star Wars Clone Wars. No, not this one. We already reviewed it. Go back and watch it. We're talking about the 2D micro series Clone Wars. Yeah, so we're looking at the 2D micro series, which later I found out was on Disney Plus. You could actually watch both volumes back to back, just like how they were on DVD back in the day. And it was actually kind of cool because back then in Cartoon Network they had like mini like little cuts like in between shows, so we didn't really get like a full like arc of this. It was just kind of like a bunch of mini battles, but some of them did come with cohesive story. Actually, Volume 2 has more dialogue and more people talking and information given as to what's going on. Whereas the first season, while it does have that, the first volume is just mainly focused on all these battles with the Jedi and the Sith. So we still are not aware of like Palpatine's stuff and what's going down. If anything, this takes place between episodes 2 and 3. If you're wondering why the animation style looks familiar, is because Genndy Tartakovsky is the guy who is responsible for this. If you don't know who that is, he has done the Powerpuff Girls, Samurai Jack, and if you were wondering about movies, he did the Hotel Transylvania movies as well. My favorite show of his was easily Dexter's Laboratory. That show was just brilliant and funny. And but yeah, he took a shot at working on Star Wars, and it kind of made me wonder, what if Lucas was the one who wrote the prequels, but had other people direct his stuff, because he did a really good job at finding people. Like example, Genndy Tartakovsky and Dave Filoni. Those guys are legends in the Star Wars universe because of it. And here, I'm just thinking, what if Lucas hired like the guy who, or the gal that could have done the prequels, because this writing is pretty solid. Now, Genndy Tartakovsky is very known for his animation style, and here in Clone Wars micro series, it's hit or miss because unlike the CG animation, while people criticized it in the past, it at least had its own look. It was unique, and it said Star Wars Clone Wars. Here, when I look at it, all I think about is Samurai Jack, which is good because it's one of the greatest cartoons of all time. But it never had its own vision, if I'm making any sense. Again, it was really cool to see some of these battles, and it was really cool to see all these action shots take place. But yeah, we don't really focus on a cohesive story necessarily. It's just kind of like a bunch of battles happening at once. But what they do get correctly is the Sith. Ventress is um, showcased here. Her arc was good. If you know the battle between her and Anakin, it's very iconic. It, I believe, is what got them Emmys. Yeah, that's right. This show got some Emmys, and a lot of people don't talk about it. That's crazy. One very important piece of this show is that this is the one where General Grievous is introduced, and then he comes back in Revenge of the Sith. But Mace Windu actually breaks down General Grievous, and this is why he starts coughing in Revenge of the Sith. So it's really cool that they added those little details, and it explains so much as to where the saga was taking place in the prequel series. It's kind of weird because it feels like Star Wars in the prequel era, the best parts were the video games, the TV series, the cartoons. The movies were hit or miss. It's kind of crazy. It doesn't take away from it. You can literally watch both volumes on Disney Plus right now. It's about 2 hours long if you binge through it all. And yeah, I did do that, but most of the time I did find myself kind of like just waiting for things to wrap up because I prefer, a perfect cohesive story instead of just a bunch of little snippets. I mean, it worked when it was on Cartoon Network on TV because it was just little snippets. I'm like, oh, that's cool, that's cool. But nowadays, you kind of watch it all in one go, and you're just like, wait, hold on, let's pause for a second. But it still doesn't take away from this. I think the thing with me, Genndy Tartakovsky, he did a good job with this show, and he had his own people writing. But I think he was more focused on other stuff such as Samurai Jack, Dexter's Laboratory, the Powerpuff Girls. So I think this was just like a little bit of what he could do, but his peak was definitely those other shows I just referenced. It still doesn't take away from this experience. I had a real fun time looking back at it. The animation is still cool. It was really nice to see something different, and some of the battles are actually pretty fun and entertaining, like I mentioned. But yeah, I'll give this a B. It's nothing too grand, but it's a lot of fun, and I think that's what people are waiting for in Star Wars. Now, tomorrow's project is actually the one thing I've been excited to talk about the most in this, and that is not going to be necessarily a review of a particular thing, but particular things. And what I grew up a lot watching was a bunch of sitcoms and shows like that, and a lot of them have had Star Wars esque inspiration from it. So, we're going to be looking down at some of my favorite sitcoms and Star Wars related episodes. And those four shows will be Friends, That 70s Shows, How I Met Your Mother, and The Big Bang Theory. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow with those reviews.